The Worcester County Health Department, in partnership with the Worcester County's Healthiest Maryland businesses, presents monthly nutrition tips and fitness bit videos. These videos will feature simple and fun activities and recipes you can try at home. Our goal is to promote healthy eating and regular physical activity, which can reduce the risk for chronic health problems such as type 2 diabetes and heart disease. We hope you enjoyed this episode and remember to eat healthy, be active, and prevent diabetes today.
Hi, I'm Kathy Wool, registered dietitian here at the Worcester County Health Department, and my special guest today is
Fran Kinsley.
And it's so great to have you here, Fran. We're looking forward to making a really exciting, healthy meal for people to watch and really enjoy. Today we're making a vegetable primavera. Now, primavera, the word itself means springtime, so it's a nice kind of time of the year to sort of bring out some new vegetables and make something that's bright and colorful. So we're going to start with the sauce that goes over it. The first ingredient is actually a low-sodium, fat-free chicken broth. The best thing about broth, using it now in cooking, is that they come low-sodium and they come fat-free. So when you're using them in any of your recipes, they tend to add a little bit of flavor without all the added salt or the added fat in there as well.
The chicken broth, I guess that's easy to find, the reduced sodium?
Absolutely, yes. It's easy to find now. You know, the low-sodium, reduced-fat chicken broth never used to be, but it's very available now in any grocery store. So we're going to start with 2 tablespoons, and I cut a few extra vegetables, so I might throw a little bit of extra in for good luck. And then the next thing is I'm using this Dijon mustard. Now, Dijon mustard also it's readily available, and it has a nice flavor. It's a little bit different than, you know, the regular mustard. It's not quite as potent, but it really lends a nice flavor. Just a little bit in there. It doesn't take too much in there to do that.
I'm very fond of horseradish mustard. Is that something
Oh,
you
that's
use
really,
too?
oh, absolutely. That has a nice flavor. You know, one thing about this dish is that when you look at the vegetables and what we're doing, it lends itself to your creativity as the cook. Because anything you like, you can add into it. Even if you don't like some of these vegetables, you could interchange them and do the same recipe. So, and then we're going to add in our olive oil. And remember, olive oil is that magic oil. It's the best oil to use because it's got the most monounsaturates, the least saturates, and it helps to lower that bad cholesterol but raise your good cholesterol, which is nice to have as well.
And about a tablespoon and a half?
A tablespoon and a half, only because I cut a few of those extra vegetables. And the last thing is some vinegar. And again, the vinegar is going to add that little bit of, you know, sort of a pizzazz to it. Hopefully
You're a real pro at that, I can tell. Good whisking.
We're going to start cooking the vegetables. So the first step is to use a non-stick spray in your non-stick skillet. And the thing about that is it doesn't add any extra fat, but it keeps everything from sticking. So Fran, if you go ahead and give that a nice coating all the way around, that would be great. I've got the skillet on, heating up.
And you've got this at what, 3?
About, yeah, this is, you can make it in a skillet that's an electric skillet, or you could cook it on the stove. Either one, it lends itself to doing both methods. So we're going to let this heat up, and then we'll be ready to add all the vegetables in there. Okay, we're going to start with some summer squash. So I cut and peeled these into thin pieces. That way they'll cook faster. And remember what I said with these kinds of vegetables. If you don't like something, it's easy to add something else. You could put zucchini in here if you wanted. And then I cut up some nice red peppers, and Fran, if you wouldn't mind adding those peppers in, we're going to start with that.
Nice color.
And the last thing are these peeled baby carrots. You know, some of the things that are available for people are so much easier now because you don't have to peel your carrot. You can buy this already done. So this is a really quick and easy meal if the things are already cut for you. So not peeling carrots and cutting them makes it a lot easier. And what I'm going to do at this point, too, is I'm going to add in another little tablespoon of chicken broth just while this is cooking. And, of course, I always put a little extra in because I'm one of those cooks that thinks everything needs a little bit more. And then we're just going to stir it up.
Oh, it smells wonderful.
It smells good already, doesn't it?
Right.
And I'm not going to add any salt and pepper to this because I think for a lot of people I let people know that they should add it to their liking. So some people are on, you know, more restricted plans where they don't want to use the salt. And sometimes I think getting the full flavor of a vegetable, you don't really need a lot of salt in here to make it taste good. So we're going to cover this now and let it just cook here for 5 minutes till it's tender, and we'll be good for go.
Let me ask you a question. What do you recommend as a cutting board, something that's sanitary?
Good question. I actually have one here that I just bought, and of course they don't like you to use the wooden ones anymore because they get the grooves in them. So if you use one of these kinds of old plastic one that, but you have to feel it to see if you're getting any rough edges. Once it starts to get sort of pieces coming up, it's time to remove it and use a new one. So I recently just bought this one because my old one wasn't. But the best thing to remember about cutting boards is you always want to wash them between raw food, cooked food, meats, vegetables, really not intermixing any of your foods together.
Okay.
So good question. Okay, the last ingredient to add is this nice fresh broccoli. And what I did is I cut it up into those small flowerets, because they cook quicker, they're easier to eat. And they really are going to add that nice color combination in there. And you can see how pretty this looks. And a helpful hint about broccoli, when you're steaming your broccoli at home, if you put it in your steamer and you leave the lid off for a few minutes before you cover it, you'll actually open up these little flowerets and it'll turn bright green. And then you put the lid on and it should stay greener while it's cooking. So that's a helpful hint to keep broccoli looking like it's very fresh. And then I'm going to add 1 more tablespoon of the chicken broth in here, which is great that this is fat-free and salt-free because you're not adding anything different except for flavor in here. All right. So once again, we've got a nice looking dish. See the colors in here?
Oh, it's good. Yeah,
I mean, it's so appealing. It looks like anybody would want to eat it, doesn't it?
It does.
All right, so we're going to let this cook again to get that broccoli done. And there we go. All right, it's time to add that sauce that I made in the beginning with the olive oil and the vinegar and the nice mustard. This is going to give it its flavor, but it's not going to be overwhelming. So you'll take that off for me, Fran. We'll drizzle this over this.
Oh, the broccoli is just beautiful.
Yeah, it really kept that nice green color.
Good.
I would think you could add some things like some other herbs and spices in here if you wanted to have some garlic. You might be able to do that. But I can smell that mustard and the vinegar coming out. And the idea about a primavera is not to doctor up the vegetables too much. It's to highlight the fact that these are nice fresh vegetables. So, and we're just going to cover that for a minute. So we're going to get ready to serve this, Fran. And what I did a little bit different is a lot of primaveras have, they serve it with like a noodle pasta. So if you were doing that, you might want to use a whole wheat one just to increase the fiber and the flavor of it. But I decided to bring quinoa, which is one of those new great grains. And quinoa, you can use any brand, of course, is actually a seed, but we think of it as a whole grain. And what you do is it takes like 15 minutes to cook, and it's got a really nutty, nice flavor. It's a complete protein, so people that don't eat meat can certainly get all the protein they need from it. And it just has a nice flavor, and I thought it would be good to absorb some of the sauce and the flavors of the vegetables in here. So what I'm going to do, and something my grandmother always taught me, is to use nice plates, because she always said food looks better when you serve it on a nice plate. So we're going to put a little bit of this quinoa on each of these plates, and then we'll serve the primavera right over the top of it. I hope you're hungry, Fran.
I'm getting that way. Just smelling it. I would never have pronounced it correctly if I hadn't.
Ah, you're right. A lot of people say quinoa.
Yeah.
Quinoa, they ask me all kinds of things like that. Okay, so the last steps, we got 2 things to do. Fran, I'm going to have you add the parsley, and then we're going to add a sprinkling of Parmesan cheese. Not too much, just enough for some flavor. And you can use fresh grated Parmesan, or you can just use the simple one in the jar. And we're going to just stir this up a little bit. And you can see that this has a really still a nice color. It couldn't be healthier, could it?
No.
Alrighty, so let's serve this over our quinoa. We're going to try to get a little bit of all the different vegetables in here so that everybody gets to try everything with everything on it. And that just looks delicious, doesn't it?
It does. It's very nice.
And again, like we remind people, is that, if there's something in here you don't like, you do not have to add that. You just add the things that you do like, and especially if you're cooking it for a family. Great way to increase your vegetables if you're struggling with how to do that. And if you're a meat eater and you really wanted to add meat to this, you certainly could. Nice chicken breast in here or some lean pork would lend itself well. So there we have.
Quinoa has protein.
That's right. So you don't really need to do it unless you really want it. So there's our final dish. Looks good, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes. And remember, eat healthy, be active, prevent diabetes today.
For more information, call the Prevention Office at 410-632-0056, or you can visit our website at worcesterhealth.org.